Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Today we have a special guest in the house with us, actually inside the Wolf's Den today, Paul Martindale. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So just a quick bio on Paul. Paul Martindale, a remarkable individual with a story of resilience, redemption, and remarkable achievements. Born on March 15th, 1981, had an upbringing deeply rooted in hard work and determination. From early age, Paul found himself immersed in the world of landscaping, working alongside his father, who owned Sonshine Landscaping. After graduating high school in 1999, Paul ventured into the roofing industry. However, life took an unexpected turn during their late teenage years and early 20s. Paul faced legal issues stemming from involvement in high-level drug dealing and gang violence, resulting in prison sentence from 21 to 28 years old. Determined to turn his life around, Paul enrolled in a rigorous boot camp program and secured an early release after 2.5 years. Regaining in freedom, they founded MPC Master Profitable Care. Did I say that right? Master Property Care, a landscaping and property maintenance company. From a small venture in a single county, MPC has expanded across 8 states. Driven by an unwavering passion for excellence, Paul has his team of transformed MPC into a renowned industry leader known for exceptional services. Currently, Paul is focused on expanding MPC through franchising, aiming to bring their high-quality service to more communities. So, Paul, again, thank you for joining us today. That's quite a story, and I kind of want to get into a little of this, but I'll let you kind of, how did this all get started? Give us some more background on your story.
Yeah. So the only difference was it's Martindale Pinnacle Construction.
Sorry, I kind of butchered that a little bit.
Martindale Pinnacle Construction is the name. MPC is the acronym. But yes, I grew up young age working with my dad. A lot of background in construction. I can never do inside work. I just couldn't. And even now, I have a hard time sitting in the office.
Yeah.
But I have learned to try and get in there Mondays and Fridays. I try to still be on the field with my sales team and with my doing quality control with my labor crews Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But yes, I started out in just a county. When I started my company a little over 11.5 years ago, I was focused primarily on roofing, and that has kind of expanded into like full exterior GC. I do some interior too, like if there's some leaks, we do like some drywall, some painting, stuff like that. And then, yes, I've even went up and when I first started, I was focused primarily on retail, and now I pretty much specialize in storm restoration. So the storms are just getting worse and worse every year, bigger and bigger. And there's definitely a need for contractors like me to come into an area after they've been hit with either, hail, heavy winds, tornadoes. There's a lot of damage. There's no way that the local contractors have the manpower to keep up. Mm-hmm. And there's just too much work to be done. Customers, sometimes a lot of them are having leaks. And so they need a contractor like me to come in who can expedite repairs and who works well with all the insurance carriers.
Nice.
I wanted to get into a little bit of your story, maybe, because I think, we had a brother that I think faced similar background. Mm-hmm. And the thing with him, he would always struggle to, he used his background and Joni and his, their upbringing as kind of like a crutch, he was always using it against him. And so he could never transform himself into somebody else because of his background.
Yeah.
He's like, that's
playing the victim, having that victim mentality rather than, this is what's happening. Like it's my choices,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
But can you get into how you, that's hard, right? How do you come from, when you got released to really changing your whole life and the mindset, everything that went into,
So, I've always been a leader by nature. Yes, I did take a wrong turn. I was actually raised pretty well by my mom and dad. They had a pretty rough upbringing. They were into a lot of wild stuff. But the year I was born, they changed their whole lives. They became Christians. I was raised going to church 3 times a week. It's just I took a wrong turn and got into a lot of bad stuff. I paid the price. I don't make any excuses. That's one thing I'm really big on. I don't make excuses. Just find a solution. But I did boot camp. Boot camp really helped me. I was... Even with doing all that time, I'd made a lot of connections in prison that probably weren't the best connections. And who knows what would have happened if I wouldn't have enrolled in boot camp. They just teach you a lot of ways to counter your old thinking. on your impulses. And so there's one mantra I'll never forget, like the criminal thinking, rational thinking class that you have to get into taught was, you are ultimately responsible for your thoughts and actions. No one can dictate what you do or how you think. You're responsible. So when I got out, and the biggest thing I did was I didn't go back to the old crowd. A lot of the old crowd who wasn't there for me when I was in prison, they weren't putting money in my books. They weren't coming to see me. All of a sudden when I get out, now they want to be right back and say, hey man, what is the party at? Let's get to it. I'm like, no, there's none of that. Where were you? The only people that were even there for me was my family and a couple other people. So you have to be able to be quick to just cut off all negativity and all people that are not trying to elevate with you is what's helped me. There's a lot of people, that play the victim martyr role. I use that word all the time, that phrase all the time, just always looking for a handout. It's always poor me instead of just finding a way to win and refuse to lose. So.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you find yourself now mentoring, like in your industry, are you able to help other individuals like yourself? Is that like? Yeah,
I have a heart obviously for people that have been to prison. The odds are severely stacked against you, especially when you come out, especially if you have any felonies. It's just hard to get a job. People look down on you, stuff like that. And once again, I'm a firm believer in if you want to succeed and you want to be done with that lifestyle, you're going to find a way. It takes sometimes starting at the very bottom and working your way up. You're just success is not going to happen overnight. And so it's taken me 11 and a half years to get to where I am. But I didn't make any excuses, and I didn't go back to the fast money, as they say. So a lot of it was, there was times I thought I was going to go bankrupt. My first year, I didn't think I was going to make it, but I stuck, grinded it out, and persevered through.
Yeah. Well, you talked a little bit about, mentoring people. Did you have a mentor early on as well, like getting out from prison and making that leap to, okay, like now I want to start my business? Like, how did that all kind of come about?
Yeah. So I always wanted to have my own construction company. Like I said, I was working with my dad since a very young age. So I was, grew up with it. I wanted to have my own construction company. I was flirting with the idea right around 18. So my plan was to take a year off from school, do some roofing, sell some drugs, party it up, and then maybe go back to business management school at 19 and start my own company. It did not happen that way. Sorry, what was it? Sorry, I got to be.
I was just some mentors.
Some mentors. Sorry, yes. Yeah. My dad has helped me a lot. He's been there for me the whole way through all this. Another guy, Mike Sampry, big shout out to him, and High Top Roofing. I used to be like the foreman of one of his crews, and he kind of like just talked with me a lot about how to set up a general contracting company and just all the ins and outs of it. And so I get a lot of props to him for that knowledge.
What did the mindset how did you go though to, I understand just getting out, changing your lifestyle, but then to say, hey, I'm going to go and build a, successful company like that, that's not an easy task for anybody. Just say, get into that.
It's not easy at all. I've been hit with everything in the book. I mean, I was on actually extended supervision for 12 and a half years, which I just got done with that in June of 2022. Oh, wow. So, I mean, that was just, anybody can call in on you. The haters, as they say, they don't like to see that you're doing well. They don't like to see the money you're making. And let's just call this PO and make up some lies. And that happened to me repeatedly, numerous times, where then it's called where you get thrown in jail on investigation. And even if you did nothing wrong, there still has to be an investigation that takes place. And you might sit a day, a couple of days, and that just wreaks havoc on your business. So I beat all that. So many things have happened. That first year where I'd done some jobs, but the year's really slow in the northern states in the winter. And so I saved my money pretty well. And it was like right around March, I was starting to get doubts. Like, man, if I don't get any sales or any jobs, like I'm going to have to probably dissolve my company and go back to work for Mike. But it didn't happen that way. I ended up doing a church. I think it was a big church. It was my first project I did in 2013. And it just avalanched in after that. So,
Wow.
Talk about some of the learning lessons over the last 11 years in business. Like what are some key, maybe, 3-4 ideas that you think that really, something that you did that really helped you, like really move the needle?
Yeah. I think some things that I've seen because I've seen a lot of companies come in and go out and go bankrupt or dissolve themselves. a lot of them. And so if you know the stats, I mean, 85% of construction companies only make it 5 years, 95 don't make it 10. And so there's a whole list of numerous reasons why they don't. And I've been hit with all those issues. It's just I found a way to persevere and get through it. I don't get complacent. That's a term I use. Don't get complacent. Just because you've had a couple good years, don't expect
right.
the money and the jobs just keep pouring in on you. You still got to wake up and go out and get it. And so I'm always looking to network, always looking to just collaborate with like-minded people.
Yeah. What makes you, because I mean, there's obviously you mentioned roofing and construction companies everywhere, right? And so what makes Martindale Pinnacle Construction different?
Yeah, so I strive, one of my vision statement is we strive for excellence every single day. So every single day, whether it's our office staff, our sales rep managers, production crews, I mean, we're striving for excellence. We're trying to hit our manufacturer specs every single time. We're not cutting corners. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of guys, those cutting corners are going to catch up to you at some point. Don't cut corners. Do things the right way, provide the best workmanship, the best materials, the best warranties, and people will notice that. And over time, as you go on and on year after year, your name is going to grow and build, and people are like, yeah, that guy you can trust to do business with. So,
yeah, and they're going to continue to do business with you if you provide that type of service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about expanding into 8 states and growing your company.
And even if you said franchising, right? You're starting to franchise and talking about that a little bit.
Yeah. So just how does it's difficult, right? I mean, how do you approach moving into outside of just your territory, your town, and really grow it? Outside of that, as far as like managing staff, sales reps, everything.
It's tough. I mean, using a CRM, I think, is very, very key. I just recently started really cracking down on the use of that.
Yeah.
It's just the way that your whole team communicates. And so customers, sometimes insurance adjusters just need to see the photos. I need to see the photos to pay out the commissions correctly to my project managers. Were you really there managing the job? And just the only way to prove that is uploading the photos to the CRM. And so, when I was in Wisconsin from like 2012 to 2017, I didn't venture out of Wisconsin.
Okay.
I started working in all areas of the state, but I'd never ventured out. Well, Iowa was the second state I moved into, and that was, storm chasing, as they say. So by that time, I'd worked countless storms in Wisconsin. I knew what to expect, the process, and just what goes into it, the amount of money that goes into setting up shop in a different town. So I worked like a storm 5 hours away, way out in Humboldt, Iowa. I'll never forget. Early spring storm hit, and I cruised out there, I think 3 of my guys. And it's just basically getting your name out in the area, getting the signs down, getting the marketing going, and then just going into the public places is what I recommend doing. Just shaking hands with other business owners, insurance agents, real estate agents, letting them know that you're the good guy.
Yeah.
And then once people know that and they see some of the work starting to get done, that's when trust starts to get built, especially in areas where they don't know you and who you are. Yeah. So
do you focus on more this following the storms, or do you like follow a storm but then set up shop and more like you're there permanently, or do you kind of?
So it's called setting up a satellite office. And so like for instance, here down in Houston, I've set up an office and I'm here like permanently. I want to have a permanent base here and a permanent team. But there's so many storms that hit. A lot of times if it's a storm and I know I'm probably going to be there at least 6 months, okay, I'll rent out an office and set up like a satellite office there. But we're going to basically shut it down after that storm damage is basically, we've taken care of it all for the customers, and that community's pretty much restored. We're probably going to shut the satellite. It's too much overhead.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've got my big corporate headquarters office. I've got 3 other offices, one in Woodbury, one in Iowa, and another one here in Houston. So that overhead can really add up.
Right.
So if the storm is kind of like fizzled out and it's, I basically shut it down, but I do have a satellite office that I set up.
Yeah. So do you bring your team from your corporate office rather than actually setting up new teams in each territory? A
lot of times when I do my recruiting, I do want to recruit locals. Uh-huh. It's very key because they know everybody. Right. So I'm running recruiting ads in that area. We're trying to recruit definitely local people to come do sales and project manage. My office staff usually stays behind at the corporate headquarters. And then my crews too, like my roofing and siding crews will pretty much go anywhere just because they trust me. They know they're gonna get paid every Friday. My gutter crews, garage door crews, painters, I usually just find somebody locally to do those trades. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some of the most challenging part of like running different locations in different territories?
Just the communication has got to be just on point. I mean, I'm a very big believer in communication and organization, making sure all your files are organized. There's continuous communication with your customer and with the insurance adjusters because we do so much storm restoration. It's just, you got to communicate almost daily on the files because stuff starts to get lost in the mix.
Right.
Customers start to wonder what's going on. I'm really big on just maintaining that contact. If the customer needs to call in just to try to expedite what's going on because we're getting stonewalled and that's what needs to happen. We have step by steps on where we need to go with this. Sometimes need to get a PA involved if we're getting stonewalled, an attorney involved. There's just numerous steps and so many things going on when it's an insurance claim. It can get pretty wild.
Yeah,
so.
Awesome. Talk a little bit about the franchising. You got that going on.
The franchising. So yeah, kind of back to when we were talking earlier. So I went into Iowa and then I got licensed in Illinois and then Minnesota, which is both are very tough states to get licensed in. A lot of training, a lot of money you got to invest. And then Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota are pretty easy. You basically just have to provide proofs of insurance and basically say, hey, I want to work in these states and you get a license number. Texas is also very easy. The contracts aren't so easy to get built. I had to contact you and your guy came through with that. So
nice.
Thank you for that. But yeah, contracts for some reason you got to be really specific to make sure you have valid contracts in Texas. But yes, the franchise. So there's what's going on in the industry right now. There's a lot of, it's called roll-ups going on. So a lot of these big equity companies are coming in, they're rolling up these companies to build these billion-dollar platforms. I still want to be firmly involved and in charge of my company. You pretty much sold yourself out at that point. So really the only way to counter that, and I've always wanted to be the biggest and the best company in the United States. And so the only way to do that, besides getting rolled up or rolling other companies up, which I just don't have the time for that either, is to franchise. And so that's what I've done. I just met with some very high-level attorneys in California about a month ago, and they're restructuring my whole business as we speak. And so, yes, I'm franchising. The goal is to be in all 50 states, brick and mortar offices by 2030.
Wow.
That's the goal.
Awesome.
That's a pretty hairy, audacious goal there. That's awesome. Love it.
Go ahead.
So, I think you kind of hit on it, but what would you say you would like to accomplish maybe in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest goal on my plate right now is to be brick and mortar offices and have MPC in all 50 states by 2030. That's a pretty big goal. I think it can happen. The attorneys that I met with, they also have sales team and marketing teams already kind of on standby that you just work with to make all this happen. So I think they said the average is 9 franchises your first year, 11 your second, 13 your third. So I was doing the math and it definitely seems feasible to be in all 50 states by 2030. I'm already in 8. So basically another 42.
Yeah, nice.
Does it have to be? It doesn't have to be storms, right? It could just be
Correct.
selling roof contracts. Right?
Yes, exterior retail. Even though my slogan is U.S. #1 storm team, but I'm getting that patented, and then I'm also getting your exterior specialist patented as well right now. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What would you say is the key to your particular business model and business? Is it the sales guys? Is it really the I guess you have to fulfill this, but is it really, if you don't get the jobs, right? So do you put a lot of focus and emphasis on your sales managers, your sales teams, training? Right?
Training is very key. I use someone else's platform right now, a training platform who is very well known in the storm restoration industry. Okay. I'm actually in the midst of having my own training, videos out there, especially for my franchisees when that starts getting really rocking and rolling. But yes, training is very key, just so everyone knows what you expect. And everybody's different. Everybody runs their companies differently. Yeah. So you might have a sales rep that comes over from another company and he's used to pay structure or doing things this way, and I do things totally different. So it's just making it very clear with what you expect and how we do things.
Yeah. How often do you do your training?
Usually, especially when you first come on, and then I usually always try to do a bunch in the wintertime.
Gotcha.
With my GAF, my shingle manufacturer reps, my ABC supply reps like to come in. Even some of my mentors like to come in and teach too. So a lot of it's in the winter. We're usually just ripping and running. But especially when you first come on, you have to sit down and watch training videos and just get knowledgeable on our CRM, on our estimating software, and just certain things before we just throw you to the wolves.
Yeah, nice.
What do you do during the winter to try to, in some of those markets like Iowa and Wisconsin, what are you doing to?
Me personally is when I usually take time off. I'm ripping and running too. I've been doing this for over 11 years.
He just goes to another location.
In the winter, I try to take my vacations then and just get some do my maybe some my continued training, my continued licensing in the winter. But yes, to my sales team and managers, what I counsel them to do is, because they're kind of slow, is just to continue to maintain and build relationships with your insurance agents and your real estate agents. I mean, those are so key. Even your property management owners, I'm trying to build with you guys as well, is very key. I mean, your network is who you are, and so those are very key people to know.
Do you go over budgeting with them to help them? I don't know, because I'm just assuming that just that they budget enough money to survive the winter.
Exactly. I talk with them about that a lot. Just the way they should probably set themselves up for taxes. Probably get your own LLC. I'm still 1099 my sales guys. That might be switching to now. But set up your own LLC. That way you get to take advantage of all your write-offs, stuff like that. That's usually when you start making around 80K or more. You definitely want to do that. But yes, I always have a lot of talks about, hey, you're responsible for your taxes, and that tax time's going to come around in the spring. So I'll make sure you manage your money correctly. What I recommend doing is just going into your bank and basically just having them set aside and take the money out for you. Put it in a escrow. Or kind of just have them do it for you, so you don't have your hands on it. So they're just taking it from you and making sure you have the money there for tax time. So
So we have a lot of investors that listen to the show, property management companies that listen to the show. A lot of them are local to Houston. So kind of give us a little bit of how can you help those type of people?
Yeah, so once again, we specialize in all exterior renovations, mainly roofing. I love doing roofs. That's what I specialize in. I've installed personally over 1,000 roofs. I've done standing seam steel. I've done EPDM, TPO, any kind of asphalt shingle, synthetic Brava shake. I mean, you name it, I've done it. So that's what we specialize in, exterior renovations and storm restoration. And so we're very good at knowing how to supplement and how to maximize an insurance claim and just make sure that they're getting everything that is due to them. So a lot of times we see where an insurance adjuster initially comes out. I don't want to sit here and bash insurance company. I don't like doing that, but a lot of claims or estimates we see initially are severely lowball on scope and or pricing. That's where we come in. We review that. We say, hey, looks like they're missing some things. We use the software Xactimate that probably 85% of the carriers use also. It just streamlines the claims process. And so if we notice things that are missing on that estimate, we come back with ours and then try and reach an agreement on that scope and pricing, which usually 90% of the time we can do that without having to get a public adjuster or an attorney involved. And so I've found I've done this for over 11 years. I got steps and procedures in place to get that done right for the customers. So
nice.
So how can our listeners get a hold of you? How can you mention which states right now you're set up in, and then how can people get a hold of you, like websites, contact info, all that?
Yeah, so I'm currently, corporate headquarters is in Janesville, Wisconsin. I then have another office in Woodbury, which is like a suburb of the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Another one in Des Moines, Iowa, and then this is the fourth one down here in Houston, Texas. We're also licensed in Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Illinois. You can look on our website at mp-construction.org. That's our website. And then you can also always reach our email at mpconstruction@contractor.net. And then our 844 number, you can always reach us, 844-MPC team.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate this episode. I think there's a lot of value there, and you can help a lot of people in our local market as well, and as other states as well. So
you just mentioned, you were just showing us all the places where you had 2-inch hail. Yeah. So and there's a ton of places in Houston. So if you think about it and you're thinking that maybe your home was affected, Katy, Northwest, all of Houston, reach out.
Or even the property management companies, right? Because, I mean, we go out to inspect our properties, and that's just a service for our owners that we really want to make sure that we're maximizing the revenues and the profits for our investors, right? And so that's just another touch there.
Yes. The one thing I will want to just mention again is we do offer free assessments. And so You would just give us a list. We would run through the list, and then we would offer that free assessment just to see if there is damage there, and if there is, we could do even immediate repairs to mitigate any damage, and then walk you through that claims process and handle everything for you, meeting with the adjuster, making sure the estimate is correct, and then also bringing in the crews to get all the work done.
And as a property manager, that's music to my ears. You doing everything and not having to worry about it. So that's awesome.
But if it's just having your insurance pay for the roof, just out your deductible. So it's a huge savings. So reach out, and we'll have all your contact information in the show notes. And we appreciate you being here today.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, if you like this, rate it. Please share it. If you know anybody that could use a free quote and see if they qualify for hail damage, please reach out to these guys, and they'll take good care of you. So we'll see you all next week.
See ya.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.